Because of the adverse water conditions and harsh chemicals, all medicators require service and maintenance. The most unique and important feature of the Gator is the easy and economical maintenance. Remember, always remove the water pressure from the system before working on the Gator. First, when the chemical pump section of the Gator wears out from the harsh chemicals, it can be quickly replaced with a new pump cartridge. For convenience, an inexpensive spare cartridge should be kept on hand. To replace the cartridge, simply unscrew the pump cartridge cap, unsnap the quick clip piston, pull the chemical filter off the suction hose, snap on a new quick clip piston, screw on the new cartridge, and replace the filter on the suction hose. The Gator is back in service. As an added economy, if the pump cylinder is not scratched and only the pump quick clip piston is worn out, it can be quickly replaced individually. Also, if the chemical is rising and falling in the suction tube, then the check valve in the base of the chemical pump cartridge that keeps the chemical from flowing back into the chemical container is easily accessible for cleaning and replacement. To access the check valve, unscrew the chemical pump cartridge cap, remove the suction hose clamp by twisting with a pair of pliers, pull the suction hose off the hose barb, and push up on the hose barb to remove the pump cylinder. The check valve is on the end of the pump cylinder. Both the check valve sealing surface and the seat on the hose barb need to be thoroughly cleaned. If the check valve cannot be cleaned, it should be replaced. Reassemble the pump replacement cartridge with the cleaned or new components. Screw the pump cartridge back onto the pump body, and the Gator is back in service. Second, when the chemical pump water motor connector stem seals that keep the water in the motor section separate from the chemical in the pump eventually wear out and keep the Gator from operating at low flow, they can be easily replaced. Unscrew the pump cartridge cap, unsnap the quick clip piston, and remove the pressure hose from the pump body. Remove the pump body by pushing up to release, turn 1/4 turn, and then pull down. If the two O-rings are not exposed, then pull down on the stem until the O-rings are accessible. Remove the worn O-rings with the O-ring removal tool, being careful not to scratch the plastic sealing surfaces. Apply silicone lubricant to the two new O-rings and install the rings onto the motor pump connector stem. Push the pump body up into the motor cap past the outside rings. Give 1/4 turn, then pull down 1/8 inch. Reinstall the pressure hose, snap on the quick clip piston, screw on the pump cartridge cap, and the Gator is back in service. Third, at some point, when the tension bands that activate the water motor valving system break or become weak, they can be simply replaced. Open the top cap on the water motor, remove both the old tension bands. If a band is broken, be sure to remove the broken sections. These can get into the valve mechanism and cause a malfunction. Pull the valve mechanism up and install the 2 new tension bands over the roller bearings. Be careful not to cut the bands. Replace the pressure ring and the cap O-ring seal. Install the motor top cap and tighten with the chain strap wrench. The Gator is now ready to be put back into service. When the Gator finally needs to be rebuilt, it can be totally refurbished with either a seal or motor pump rebuild kit, providing a completely new operating medicator. Note that there are a few simple items that can be overlooked when troubleshooting any medicator. Remember that the Gator, like all medicators, must be started up properly. Start a medicator slowly by closing the bypass valve, opening the valve downstream of the medicator, and then slowly opening the water supply valve so that the medicator does not snap faster than once every 2 seconds until the chemical is drawn completely up the suction tube and into the chemical pump. Once the pump is primed, continue to slowly open the supply valve, making sure that the medicator does not snap faster than 3 snaps every second. The Gator has internal safety devices built in to prevent the unit from being destroyed if it is oversped or overpressurized by opening the water supply valve too quickly. Sealing O-rings are released and priming will stop. However, the activation of these safety devices mean that the Gator may need to be taken apart and reassembled. Double check to make sure that the bypass valve in the piping system is completely closed. Any leakage past this bypass valve will not allow any medicator to operate at low flows. The Gator XL is self-priming, but it can be hand-primed by removing the pump cartridge cap and pouring some water into the open cap. Replace the cap and the Gator is primed. If the chemical filter at the end of the suction pickup tube in the chemical container gets clogged, the chemical will not be drawn up. Keep the filter screen clear. If the suction tube clamp on the hose barb is loose, air will leak into the suction tube and cause the chemical to drop back down the tube. To determine if the Gator is operating properly, test the unit by connecting a water supply to the inlet and connecting a control valve to the outlet. Put the suction hose chemical filter into a container of water. Open the water supply valve and open up the control valve so that the Gator snaps about 1 or 2 times a second. Let the water pump up out of the container and into the pump. Close the outlet control valve and put the suction hose chemical filter into a measuring cup or clear container of water. Now open the control valve slightly so that only a small amount of water is flowing and the Gator is snapping about once every 2 minutes. Mark the level of the water in the container and leave the Gator to operate in this condition. After about 1/2 hour, 1 ounce of chemical will have been drawn out of the container. This test shows that the Gator is operating to specifications at high and low water flows. At this time, also check the Gator for any external leaks.